new limits on COVID booster shots, record-breaking Memorial Day travel info, and a fresh look at which states pay the most money for you to work. Plus a trivia question for all of you baseball fans out there. Who's the oldest player to hit a home run in a major league game? I'll tell you at the end of the show. It's Thursday, May 22nd. This is the Flyover Podcast. Welcome to the Flyover Podcast, taking you above the noise for an unbiased, high-altitude view of today's headlines with daily coverage that's honest and refreshing. Let's cruise the news and land the facts. Good morning and welcome to the Flyover. I'm Ayla Brown and I'm so glad that you're here. Whether you're commuting, working out, or just sipping that first cup of coffee, we've got the news, stories, and a little surprises to get your day off the ground. So let's take off with today's top headlines. The FDA is tightening guidelines on COVID-19 boosters. Moving forward, only Americans 65 years and older or those with high-risk medical conditions will be eligible for updated booster shots. That's a major shift from earlier guidance recommending annual shots for everyone. Officials say routine boosters aren't justified for healthy individuals unless vaccine makers conduct new placebo-controlled trials. Companies argue it is difficult, if not impossible, due to how quickly the virus mutates. The FDA has also expanded warning labels on Pfizer and Moderna's mRNA vaccines, citing a higher risk of heart inflammation, particularly myocarditis and pericarditis in males aged 16 to 25. This follows updated safety data and long-term studies. And in a related development, a Senate report led by Senator Ron Johnson of Wisconsin alleges that the Biden administration health officials delayed public warnings about these risks back in 2021, despite early alerts from Israeli health authorities and the Pentagon. Next, if you're heading out for Memorial Day weekend, expect some company. AAA projects a record-breaking 45.1 million Americans will travel at least 50 miles from home between May 22nd and the 26th. That is today, by the way, breaking the 2005 record. Most of those travelers, nearly 40 million, will be hitting the road, helped along by lower gas prices, which are good. They're averaging about $3.14 per gallon. That's down from $3.59 this time last year. That is also good. Air travel is up also, with 3.6 million passengers expected, though ticket prices are about 2% higher than last year, averaging around $850 for a round-trip domestic flight. Cruises are also booming, especially to Alaska, with about 2 million people expected to travel by ship, train, or bus. All I'm saying is be patient this weekend. And finally, let's talk about money. New numbers show where wages stand across the U.S. in 2025. Massachusetts leads the country in average hourly pay at $42.50, followed closely by Washington and California. At the other end of the list, states like Mississippi and Louisiana fall below the national average, both making below $30 per hour. And although it's not a state, Washington, D.C. tops the entire list with average hourly wages of $52.89, a full $24 more per hour than the lowest ranked state. By the way, you can check out your state's average wage in today's email edition of the Flyover. Not a subscriber? Don't worry about that. Sign up for free at jointheflyover.com. Let's take a look at what's happening in politics today. In New Jersey, Rep. LaMonica McIver was released without bail after being charged with assaulting federal officers during a protest outside an ICE facility in Newark. McIver allegedly tried to block the arrest of Newark Mayor Ros Baraka, who was briefly detained before being released. She is now facing multiple charges and expected to appear in court later this month. The Pentagon has officially accepted a $400 million Boeing 747 from Qatar to serve as a temporary replacement for Air Force One. The aircraft, a gift from the Qatari government, will be used while the next generation presidential fleet undergoes extended testing and retrofitting. The move is drawing attention for its price tag and for the optics of accepting foreign equipment for such a high-profile American role. In Florida, former Congressman Matt Gaetz is reportedly considering a run for governor in 2026, potentially shaking up an already crowded GOP field. Current names in the mix include Trump, supported and endorsed Rep. Byron Donalds, and a possible entry by First Lady Casey DeSantis. No one has officially declared yet, but early maneuvering is already heating up behind the scenes. And finally, Rep. Jerry Connolly, a longtime Virginia Democrat and senior member of the House Oversight Committee, has died at the age of 75. Connolly was known for his sharp wit, institutional knowledge, and strong focus on federal workforce policy. Lawmakers from both sides of the aisle have issued statements remembering his decades of public service. We are brought to you by Picasso. Let me put this into perspective to make it easy. Picasso is backed by heavy hitters like SoftBank and Maveron, the same VCs that backed companies like eBay and Allbirds. So why are they investing, you ask? Because Picasso, started by Zillow's co-founder, is changing the way people buy second homes. It's already done over $1 billion in real estate transactions, and the momentum is global. Record sales in Paris. They've got 8 homes in Cabo, and they just closed their most expensive home yet in London. No wonder gross profit grew 41% in 2024. So what's the opportunity for you? You can invest now at just $2.80 a share. This isn't a crypto token or some vaporwave idea. It's real equity in a real venture-backed company. But again, that price changes on May 29th. Head to Picasso.com/theflyover to get the full picture and make your move before that date. Again, that's PACASO.com/theflyover. From the NFL keeping the tush push alive to Airbnb's AI tackling party rentals and Caitlin Clark making WNBA history in record time, we've got the stories everyone's talking about today. But first, finance is coming right up. Let's take a look at what's happening in business and finance today. One big stock that took a hit, Wix.com, the web development company, saw its shares fall 16% after missing earnings expectations in its latest quarterly report. Investors had high hopes, but the results just didn't deliver. Over at Amazon, CEO Andy Jassy says they're not seeing any signs that new tariffs are affecting consumer spending or driving up prices. At least not yet. That's a reassuring note as trade tensions continue to loom over some sectors. And finally, Lowe's is sticking to its full-year forecast, saying sales from professional contractors and home builders are keeping their numbers on track. The company expects a modest year-over-year gain, even as some home improvement retailers face slower consumer traffic. Let's see how the markets closed yesterday. It was a rough day on Wall Street. The Dow dropped 817 points, or nearly 1.9%, while the S&P 500 fell 1.6%, and the Nasdaq slipped 1.4%. The sell-off came as Treasury yields climbed, raising concerns about borrowing costs and investor confidence. Meanwhile, Bitcoin hit a new all-time high early on Wednesday, briefly touching $109,857 before sliding back to around $106,000. For context, though, it was trading near $78,000 in early April, so that's a massive jump in just over a month. But gold rose again over 1.2%, closing in at $3,320 per ounce. Here's what's going on in sports. Caitlin Clark just made WNBA history again. She's now tied with Courtney Vandersloot for the most 20-point 10-assist games in league history. And what makes this wild is that Vandersloot hit that mark in 430 games. Caitlin Clark did it in just 42 games. It's another major stat line for the rookie guard who's redefining what's possible this early in her pro career. In NFL news, the tush push is here to stay. The league's owners voted not to ban the controversial play, officially known as the quarterback push sneak, a move the Philadelphia Eagles have turned into a short yardage cheat code. The vote to eliminate it fell short by just 2 votes. So teams will still be allowed to line up and push their QB forward on the 4th and 1 or goal line plays. A big shift in college sports policy as well. The NCAA has announced it will no longer enforce amateurism rules, effectively handing over name, image, and likeness oversight to the Power Four conferences. This move comes as part of the pending House versus NCAA settlement, which is expected to reshape college athletics by allowing schools to share up to 22% of their annual athletic revenue with players, with an initial per-school cap of $21 million for athlete compensation. NCAA President Charlie Baker confirmed that the conferences will be responsible for implementing and enforcing the new NIL laws, signaling a significant shift in the organization's role in college sports. We'll be keeping an eye on that one. And finally, a big honor in the racing world. Court Busch has been voted into the NASCAR Hall of Fame. Busch won the 2004 Cup Series championship and racked up 34 career wins, making him one of the most successful and intense drivers of his generation. He officially retired from full-time racing in 2022 after a head injury, but left behind a Hall of Fame-worthy legacy. Congratulations to him. And for some science and tech news, Airbnb is rolling out new AI tools to crack down on party rentals ahead of a busy travel weekend like Memorial Day and the 4th of July. The platform will now use machine learning to block 1- and 2-night bookings that seem likely to turn into large gatherings, especially if the user has a new account or is booking locally. It's part of the company's ongoing effort to reduce complaints and property damage tied to unauthorized parties. A new wave of research is shining light on a less discussed mental health issue, the impact of income dynamics in relationships. Studies show a growing number of men report self-esteem and mental health challenges when their female partners out-earn them. Psychologists say the effect is often tied to societal expectations around gender and success, and it's prompting more open conversations about money, identity, and emotional well-being. And finally, Jupiter may have looked very different in its early years. According to new research, the gas giant was once twice its current size and had a magnetic field 50 times stronger than it does today. Scientists believe these early features helped protect the planet's core while it formed, and studying them could offer insights into how massive planets evolve across the galaxy. For this week's Throwback Thursday, we are going full nostalgia. We got a collection of cringeworthy family photos from the 70s, 80s, and 90s, complete with mullets, matching outfits, and of course those awkward poses that somehow feel just timeless. Meanwhile, outside New York City, Usonia, a mid-century community designed by Frank Lloyd Wright, as a model for American living, is still home to one of its original residents, now 100 years old. And if you're looking to bring some retro style into your own life, check out the Barbie Pink cassette player, a fully functional Bluetooth-enabled throwback straight out of the 80s, complete with those foam headphones. You remember those? And that classic tape deck clunk. Oh, I miss it already. You can check out all the pictures and memories in today's email edition of The Flyover. Coming up, what would you do if your best friend was dating someone much older or much younger? The answers to that poll question are coming right up. Plus, the trivia about the oldest player to ever hit a home run in the MLB. But first, some extra headlines that were just too important to leave out. And here are a few more stories making headlines today. In California, federal prosecutors have indicted 13 people, allegedly tied to an Armenian organized crime ring, accused of stealing over $83 million worth of Amazon-bound cargo. Authorities say the group used fake trucking companies and fraudulent paperwork to pull off the heists, targeting goods in transit between warehouses and shipping hubs across the country. In China, part of the Drum Tower's roof collapsed on Monday. The historic site, originally built in 1375 during the Ming Dynasty, saw tiles crash to the ground near tourists. Thankfully, no injuries were reported, but the incident sparked concern about the preservation of ancient landmarks as tourism rebounds. And in New Jersey, a dump truck driver suffering a seizure veered off the road in Woodbury Heights, crashing through a utility pole, several front lawns, and ultimately into the side of a house. Dramatic video shows the aftermath, but remarkably, no one inside the home was injured. It's time for the polls. In yesterday's podcast, we talked about 24-year-old Jordan Hudson possibly being engaged to 73-year-old football coach Bill Belichick. So it was only fitting that yesterday's question was, if your best friend confided in you that they're in love with someone way older or younger, would you? Well, here are the results. 42% of you said you'd stay out of it. 34% said support your friend. 19% you would raise an eyebrow. And the rest of you, at just 5%, said you would stage an intervention. It's so interesting. I actually agree with all those numbers. But here's the poll question for today, and make your vote count by heading to today's email edition of The Flyover. Here's the question. Who are the members of your group chat text messages? Oh, that is a mouthful. Who are the members of your group chat text messages? Family, friends, coworkers, all of the above, or other? I have a couple, but most of the group chats I have are with my family. I also played basketball in college, so I have one with my college teammates on it. And that one is starting to fade, though, so I feel like I should change that and text them right now. Wait, I have this podcast to do. I will text them after I'm done with this because it is always good to check in with people and friends that you haven't seen for a while. Here's today's trivia question, especially for all of you baseball fans out there. Who is the oldest player to hit a home run in a major league game? The answer? That would be Julio Franco, who hit a pinch hit homer at 47 years old for the Mets, breaking a record that had stood since 1930. You can read more about him in today's email edition of The Flyover. And by the way, did you know that there are 9 state editions of The Flyover as well? So sign up for localized content if you live in places like Ohio, Colorado, Florida, and more at jointheflyover.com. Anyway, that's going to do it for today's episode of The Flyover. I'm Ayla Brown. Thank you so much for listening to the top headlines. Please continue to share with 1 or 2 people today. I have a personal goal. I want the Flyover podcast to have lots of new subscribers before the end of Memorial Day weekend. So no matter where you are listening to us, either YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or somewhere else, we really appreciate it. Thanks for flying with us.